The idea that if someone is right for you then the two of you drive number 2 co, number 1f, into the sunset and everything should be fine all of the time has no bearing on real life and leaves most people feeling dissatisfied with their relationships. A long-lasting relationship is not a gentle boat ride that dry number 2 downstream. You have to pick up the oars and make values-based choices and actions about where you want to go with it. Then you have to put the work in. Those actions have to be repeated consistently. If you spend more time dry number 2 than purposefully choosing and working on it, things can get out number 1f course. B is 1. In a relationship or friendship, it is perfectly okay to disagree. You don't have to be on the same page about everything all of the time. You are 2D number 1f errant people, each with your own sensitivities, background experiences, needs and coping mechanisms. If you truly open up and connect with another person, you will undoubtedly discover parts of them that you need to tolerate and accept in order to nurture the relationship over a lifetime. Be together always. Whether it's a friendship or intimate relationship, it is okay to enjoy spending time apart. You do not have to become two parts of the same person. You are two separate and unique individuals, and to nurture the aspects of yourself that make you D number 1f errant does not need to threaten the relationship. This relationship myth compounds our fears of abandonment and prevents many people from allowing their partners or themselves to develop and grow as individuals within a relationship. When we feel secure in a relationship, we can feel more free to be separate people and not feel threatened by the other aspects of our partner's life. Happily ever number 2 From fairy tales to Hollywood movies, the story always ends as the relationship begins, as if the journey is only in finding the perfect person, and at number 2 that is endless happiness. A relationship is a journey that will naturally meet with many twists, turns and bumps in the road. The strongest of relationships will have down days, periods of disconnection, disagreement. There will be times when one or both partners face failure or huge loss, or illness and pain. There will be times when you have mixed emotions or you feel less passionate than before. There will be times when one or both partners feel confused about what the other person wants or needs. There will be times when we get it wrong and cause the other person pain. If we buy into the myth of happily ever number 2 we make ourselves vulnerable to assuming that this relationship just wasn't meant to be and end it without realizing that all relationships hit bumps in the road. When they knock you over, number 2 ing back up and coming back together as possible. Relationship success means staying together at all costs. Relationships have a potent number 1f ECT on our health and happiness, but merely having a relationship is not enough. If relationships are to have a positive impact on our lives, then this means working to improve the quality of those connections and making careful, intentional choices about them too. While we can take full responsibility for ourselves, we cannot force change upon another. It is okay to end a relationship that causes harm to your physical or mental well-being. I have included in the resources section information on services that provide support to anyone who feels unsafe in a relationship. How to get better at relationships. When we look at number 2 ourselves, we are looking at number 2 our relationships, and when we work on our relationships we are looking at number 2 ourselves. So all the tools in this book that focus on taking care of the self will help you to be the person you want to be in your relationships. Number 2D ing number 2D at relationships does not mean learning how to get the other person to do or be what you want them to be. In couples therapy, you can work on your relationship together. But you can also work on your relationships by understanding your own individual needs and number 2D earns in the cycles you tend to get stuck in. When you build a number 2D understanding of yourself and practice new ways of communicating and connecting with the people in your life, including you can make real number 2 in the quality of your relationships. That understanding of who you want to be, how you want to be there for the people in your life, and how to hold boundaries and nurture yourself within those relationships can act as a compass. So when we feel lost and confused in the complexities of relationship ups and downs, we don't have to look to others for our sense of direction. We come back to the self. We step back from the painting and we see how our current choices fit with the bigger picture we are trying to create. Attachment. Our number 2D attachment styles are formed early in life. They do not start out number 1f as choice. The brain is wired to a number 2D ACH to a caregiver to keep us safe. It enables every child to seek closeness with a parent, go to that parent for safety and comfort when needed, and use that relationship to create a secure base. When a child has that secure base, the child then feels safe to explore the world and form new relationships using what they have learned. But when life happens and parents are not able to give the consistent connection and security that children need to develop that secure number 2D attachment, then we can carry those insecure internal processes into our adult relationships. Siegel and Hartzell, 2004. They impact on the way we relate to others as adults because they are the template we have formed for our concept of what to expect from and how to behave in relationships. Having a particular number 2D attachment style is not a life sentence that sets in stone how you are destined to relate to others. But it can be a helpful way to understand some of the cycles we feel stuck in as adults. Our brains are adaptable, so understanding those number 2D earns and making conscious choices to repeatedly do something number 1f errant, eventually can become our new norm. Anxious attachment. An anxious at number 2D attachment style may present itself as the need for frequent reassurance that you are loved and that the other person is not about to abandon you. Those with an anxious at number 2D attachment style may have grown up in an environment in which they did not feel safe that their caregivers would return, or one where they did not have access to consistent at number 1f action, or responsiveness and availability was inconsistent. Anxious at number 2D attachments can show up in people-pleasing behaviors, struggles in expressing personal needs or avoidance of confrontation and conflict, a focus on meeting the needs of the partner to the detriment of one's own personal needs. The constant focus on preventing abandonment can become a self-fulfilling prophecy, as the relentless need for reassurance can feel controlling to those who may have an avoidant at number 2D attachment style, and may lead to conflict. The anxiously at number 2D eighth partner may build up resentment towards a partner who does not consistently provide that reassurance but may also feel unable to fully express their needs for fear of conflict. The answer in these situations is neither a constant flow of reassurance, nor dismissing the needs and hoping they go away. Instead, the anxiously at number 2D eighth partner can practice creating a sense of safeness independently from their partner by building their sense of self and learning to soothe themselves. The partner can help this by providing more consistent connection without waiting for the other person to ask for it. So these are things we can work on both individually and as a couple. Avoidant attachment. This at number 2D attachment style can appear almost opposite to an anxious at number 2D attachment style. Closeness and intimacy can feel threatening and unsafe, despite still having that human need for connection. Self-reliance feels safe, giving just enough of oneself to keep a relationship but experiencing discomfort, vulnerability and fear in those connections and struggling with urges to shut down emotionally and avoid intimacy or confrontation. These behaviors can number 2C and be mistaken for a lack of love or care. But they can be understood as something that once made good sense for the individual. Those with avoidant style at number 2D attachments may have experienced a childhood in which parents weren't available either physically or emotionally to connect and respond to their needs. Dependence may have led to rejection or caregivers may have been unresponsive. There is a misconception that those with an avoidant at number 2D attachment style do not want or need connection. They are just as human as anyone else, but miss out on deep connection in the struggle to let down the protective guards that were put up much earlier in life to protect them. While the anxiously at number 2D eighth person must work on tolerating the vulnerability of self-reliance, the avoidantly at number 2D eighth must build up tolerance of the vulnerability involved in opening up to close connection. A partner can help with that by developing an understanding of why intimacy feels unsafe or uncomfortable and working alongside them to gradually nurture closeness. Secure attachment. When parents are able to reliably respond to their child's emotional and physical needs, that child is able to learn over time that what she feels can be communicated and responded to. She feels safe to express needs and learns that she is able to go into the world to get those needs met. This does not mean parenting was perfect, but it was reliable enough to generate that secure base and was repaired when mistakes were made so that trust continued. The securely at number 2D eighth child is not constantly happy, with every need anticipated before a cry. They will feel safe enough to show their distress when a parent leaves, but will rekindle that connection when reunited. As they continue into adulthood they will enjoy closeness, feel able to express their needs and feelings, while maintaining the capacity for some independence. A secure at number 2D attachment is a solid foundation for managing healthy relationships as an adult, but is not a guarantee of ideal relationship choices or behaviors. Those with a secure at number 2D attachment style navigating a relationship with someone who has a D number 1F errant at number 2D attachment style can improve their relationship by working hard to understand and show compassion to the partner who had a D number 1F errant experience in their early years. Disorganized attachment. If parents are unable to provide care and emotional support that is reliable and consistent, or if that relationship is abusive, then these kinds of interactions may create a disorganized at number 2D attachment. As a child, that might be seen as avoidant or resistant responses to caregivers because the mix of experiences is confusing and disorienting. The person they need for safety can also be frightening and dangerous. Later on, in adulthood, this at number 2D attachment style might show up as D number 22 difficulties in dealing with emotion and a vulnerability towards dissociation in response to stress, intense fear of abandonment and D number 22 difficulties in relationships. As with the other number 2D attachment styles, change is possible with support. There may be work to do on building up the ability to manage both the vulnerability of intimacy and connection, as well as the fears of separation. While the experiences we had in early life can be highly potent in how we express ourselves in adult relationships, they do not have to be a life sentence. Learning about ourselves and those we are closest to is the work of relationships. Recognizing and building an understanding around our own number 2D earns of relating, as well as those of the people we may be in a relationship with, is a big step towards improving our relationships. It increases our chances of being able to step back from personalizing the behavior of others and making conscious choices that can help you both build a close and trusting connection that enhances both of your lives. So, how can we put this into action? What can we do to start improving our relationships today? As with most things, there are no quick fixes. Creating anything that is long-lasting is not about one big grand gesture that will make everything okay. It is about making those seemingly small everyday choices conscious and intentional. It is about reliably and consistently trying to navigate towards your values. The way to ensure that your everyday actions are led by intention, rather than reactive, is to step back every now and then and reflect on how you want the picture to look. Relationships researcher John Go, number 2D man, Go, number 2D man in Silver, 1999, suggests that for both men and women the overriding factor that determines how satisfied they feel in their relationship, by 70%, is the quality of their friendship. So actively focusing on how to develop friendship and working on what it takes to be a B, number 2D, or friend is a good idea. When we work on building the quality of friendship, we might do that by regularly enjoying each other's company and working hard to maintain mutual compassion and respect for each other. G, number 2D, to know each other in the finest detail, finding ways to express appreciation and care in everyday life. The more of life we can fill with closeness and experiences that strengthen friendship, the more protection the relationship has against the inevitable hurdles that come in the form of disagreements, stressful life events and losses. It is much easier to ride the waves of life's ups and downs if we are well practiced at pulling together and have built up deep respect and gratitude for each other. Connection. In this book I have talked a lot about the dangers of numbing emotions and avoidance. Relationships, whether they are intimate or friendships or family members, are all inherently woven with emotion. When humans interact, we make each other feel things. A few words from a loved one can put our head in the clouds or bring us to our knees. It makes sense that when the emotions are heightened, we pull back and withdraw. When we do, there is disconnection between the two individuals. And yet, any couples therapist in the research literature will tell you that turning towards each other is the foundation for building a deep and trusting connection. Go, number 2D, Man in Silver, 1999. Disconnection from ourselves, our emotions and our loved ones has negative outcomes for relationships and our mental health. Hari, 2018. Yet we are surrounded by things that tempt us with escape from the vulnerable moments. We numb out with endless social media scrolling, or we throw ourselves into work and make ourselves too busy to stop. Or we turn away from our connection in order to obsess over making ourselves be, number 2D, or along the lines of what the outside world tells us will do that. We focus on trying to look something closer to perfect, or reach somewhere closer to wealthy. None of which is what our connection truly needs to make it work. So what does work? Here's what the experts say about ways in which we can build a meaningful and long-lasting connection. Self-awareness. Relationships are D, number 22, cult because we don't always have access to what someone else is needing or thinking or feeling. But we can access that in ourselves. The most powerful place to start on improving your relationships is with you. Not in a self-blame, number 2D, act crusade. But with curiosity and compassion. Understanding the cycles that we seem to get stuck in and what may have made us vulnerable to that. This paves the way to working out how to break those cycles. We cannot always guarantee that the other person in a relationship will be inclined to self-reflect in this way. But when we start to make changes to our behavior, it can invite the other person to respond D, number 1F, errantly too. This doesn't mean changing and hoping they change too. It means focusing on who you want to be in the relationship, how you want to behave and what you want to bring to the connection, as well as where your boundaries are and why. Emotional responsiveness. The big emotions we feel when a relationship hits trouble are not irrational. Safe emotional connection is a top priority for our brain, whose job is to help us survive. When we shout, scream, cry, withdraw and stay silent, we are all asking the same thing, just in a D, number 1F, errant way. The questions are you there for me? Do I ma, number 2D, or enough for you to stay? When I need you most, what are you going to do? The at number 2D, Ackman styles we discussed earlier are the D, number 1F, errant ways in which we learn to ask those questions. When we sense that we have lost our connection, our brain sets the fight or flight alarm bells ringing and we start doing whatever we can to feel safe again. For some that is aggression, for others it is backing out, number 1F, and hiding away, or bringing down the emotional shoe, number 2D, and not let number 2D ing on that you care at all. Once we get into a cycle of a number 2D acting and pulling away, it feels almost impossible to come back together, despite the fact that the disconnection has caused the distress. In her book Hold Me Tight, Sue Johnson, professor of clinical psychology and expert on emotionally focused couple therapy, suggests that if we don't reconnect, we continue feeling isolated and distanced. The only way back is to move emotionally close and reassure the other. She points out that while one partner might blame or number 2D act in a frantic number 2D to seek an emotional response, the other person is likely to receive the message that they are failing and freeze or retreat further away. To remedy this, we can practice tuning into our partner's bids for connection and at number 2D actment needs. This is easier said than done when overwhelmed with emotion, so it inevitably involves also working on self-soothing and managing our own distress too. Secondly, it includes responding to those at number 2D actment cues with sensitivity, kindness and compassion. Let number 2D ing the other person know that they ma, #2D to you. It is crucial that while we do this, we remain engaged, close and at number 2D attentive rather than pulling away. Johnson, 2008. Respectful complaining. Most people have an idea of what type of feedback helps them to take a message on board and learn, and what type of feedback puts them in a shame spiral. When we play the blame game, nobody wins. Building a healthy relationship is not about let number 2D ing go of your own needs to please another, but it does demand that we use the compassion and care that we would want to receive when we tackle frustrations and problems. Healthy relationships are not free of conflict. They require work on carefully repairing ruptures in the connection. Whatever the details of each particular conflict, each individual continues to have the same basic need for feeling love and belonging, a sense of acceptance for who they are as separate from mistakes or unhelpful behavior. Number 2D earns. One of the fundamental aspects of therapy that creates a solid foundation for the ability to self-reflect and work on change is the creation of a relationship in which there is acceptance, non-judgment and unconditional positive regard. When we sense that we are under a number 2D act or being abandoned, when we feel shamed or unappreciated, we are not in a position to think clearly about what would be the best way forward. We are in survival mode. When tackling a D number 22 cult conversation, careful thought and preparation in how you will approach the conversation is more likely to go smoothly than allowing frustration to lead the way with a stream of criticism and contempt. Focusing use of language on concrete behaviors rather than global at number 2D acts on personality helps to keep everyone cool. Staying clear on exactly what it is you feel and need helps to keep the guessing games out of it, while maintaining the appreciation and respect that you would want to be treated with if the roles were reversed is a good place to start. Of course, none of this is easy, especially when emotions are high, so it demands that we keep returning to our own personal values around the kind of partner we want to be. Repairs. When it comes to repairing, our priority is reconnection. This inevitably involves acknowledgement of our role in what happened, compromise and adjustments from both individuals. Reconnection also demands the ingredients that created the connection in the first place: acceptance, compassion, love and gratitude for each other. Accessing that is almost impossible when emotions are high, so it doesn't have to happen immediately. It is okay to minimize damage by taking a short time to step back and calm down, before reapproaching in a more skillful way. All of this sounds idealistic, and real life doesn't always happen that way. Old habits are number 2D hard to crack. But there is no use in being a relationship perfectionist. Sometimes we will get it wrong. The key is in persistence and the commitment to take a step back, reevaluate and do our best to repair when things go wrong. Anything repeated enough times will become second nature. Turning towards gratitude. In previous chapters I have talked about the value of redirecting the focus of attention towards gratitude. In the hustle and bustle of daily life, it is easy to slip into a earn of paying most attention to a partner when we need them to step up and change something, or when they are frustrating the hell out of us. Making a conscious decision to focus on the things we admire and appreciate about them is a relatively simple task that can cheat not only your emotional state but how you then choose to behave towards them. Shared meaning and values. If we choose to spend our life with another person, then our values check in. Our stepping back to see our bigger picture cannot be ours alone. Finding where our personal values fit together and overlap with our partners and having respect for where they are is key for a relationship that can withstand life's challenges. This might start with the relationship, how you both want to care and be cared for, communicate and be communicated to, support and be supported. It might also expand to consider both personal goals and shared dreams for your life together. There may be aspects of your relationship and family life that are sacred to you both, while there will be others where one partner upholds a value because she knows how important it is to the other. For example, going along to family gatherings with relatives that may not be your favorite because you know how much it means to your partner that you are there to support him. As I described in earlier chapters, gaining clarity on what matters most to you acts as a compass and a guide when we are unsure how to move forward. When we are in a relationship, taking time to understand what matters most to our partner can help us to deepen our connection and create a relationship within which both partners can grow and flourish. Toolkit. Number 2D. Being clear on the kind of partner you want to be. The following journal prompts can help to explore your shared values as a couple. You can use these to reflect on any of the relationships in your life. As we can't force change upon others, the focus is on understanding and identifying what we can do as individuals. Which of the number 2D Ackman styles listed in this chapter resonate for you? How does that appear in your relationships? How can you express compassion for the unintended consequences of those past experiences, while also taking responsibility for your future? What aspects of your partner in the relationship do you feel appreciative and grateful for? What kind of partner do you want to be in the relationship? What small changes could help you move in that direction? Chapter summary. When it comes to a happy life, relationships beat money, fame, social class and all the things we are told to put our effort into. Our relationships and how happy we feel in them are not separate from our overall health. They are at the core of the equation. Working on the self helps your relationships, and working on your relationships helps the self. Number 2D Ackman styles early in life can number 2C and be reflected in our adult relationships. Chapter 36. When to seek help. Dear Dr. Julie, I saw your videos. I was inspired to start therapy. So far it's going really well and things are starting to improve for me. Thank you. If anyone is wondering why it's important to talk about mental health, here is one reason. In my first year of number 1F earring mental health education online, I lost count of the number of messages I received that sounded like the one above. In each one the words are number 1F errant, the story's unique. But the message is the same. And it's not just me. There are people talking about mental health and therapy all over the internet. On an individual level, this is what it can do. When your mental health fluctuates, it can be even more number 22 called to make decisions and take action. So seeking the help you need becomes harder to do, and there is no set of rules that tells you when to see a professional. When to seek professional help with your mental health is a question I am asked frequently. The short answer to this question is anytime you are concerned about your mental health. There are huge barriers for many people in the world in accessing professional mental health support. From cultural taboos and expensive services to availability and resources, there are very real hurdles that prevent huge numbers of people accessing services that could be helpful to them. Overcoming each of those hurdles is a massive challenge to be faced by society. On an individual level, if you are fortunate enough to have the chance to access services and you feel in any way concerned about your mental health, then taking that step can be life-changing. Simply visiting a professional and starting the conversation allows you to explore your options. Something that I number 2C and hear from individuals when they come along to talk about the idea of therapy is that they don't feel they deserve it. Other people must have it worse. So they wait until breaking point before taking that step. By that time, the hill to climb has become a mountain. Waiting until you are on your deathbed before seeking help is never a good strategy for maintaining your health, both physically and mentally. The truth is there will always be someone who has it worse. But if you have the chance to use professional help along the way, your mental health may thank you for it and life could change beyond your current comprehension. Believe me, I have seen it happen. I have seen people pull themselves from the depths of despair, step back from the number 1F edge and start the work of turning their life around. It happens, and it could happen to you. Not in a day or a week, but in many days and many weeks of commitment to your health and to the life you want to build. When there is no way to access professional help, we need each other more than ever. The internet has made lots of educational resources more available and started a global conversation about mental health. People who once felt alone in their struggles are beginning to understand that fluctuations in mental health, just like physical health, are a normal part of being human. Stories of recovery, healing and growth are being told. Seeds of hope are being sown. The message is starting to be heard that our mental health is not entirely out of our hands. We are not at the mercy of emotional states that strike us down. There are things we can learn, changes we can make to take responsibility for our health. That involves learning all that you can from whatever is available to you and working hard to try things out, make mistakes, try again, learn a bit more and keep going. In an ideal world, all the therapies that work would be available to everyone who needs them, when they need them. But we don't have that ideal world. So if professional services are not available, take every opportunity you can to learn and to share with people you trust. Human connection and education can help us to make big changes in our mental health. Chapter Summary. The best time to seek support for your mental health is any time you become concerned about it. If you are not sure how much help you need, a professional can help you decide. In an ideal world, therapeutic services would be available to everyone. But we don't have that ideal world. If services are not accessible for you, take every opportunity to learn all you can about recovery and to use the support of trusted loved ones. References.